If you took the entire solar system, the sun, the planets, all that vast empty darkness between them, and you just shrank it down to the size of a pinpoint, it wouldn't just look like a human cell.
Right.
According to the document we're exploring today, it would actually mechanically function exactly like one.
Which is just, it's wild to think about.
It really is. So welcome to today's deep dive. We are jumping into this completely fascinating synthesis of astrophysics, 4D geometry, and neurobiology.
Yeah, it's quite the mix.
Definitely. And our mission today is to take all these incredibly complex fields and merge them into a single, cohesive framework that will frankly completely shatter how you view your place in the universe.
Exactly, because we're fundamentally shifting the perspective here. We're moving away from looking at the solar system as this, chaotic collection of floating rocks and debris.
Right.
And instead, we're seeing it as a single holistic macro atom, like a highly organized living structure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the implications here are just staggering because it suggests that the macro and the micro aren't just vaguely similar. They are operating on the exact same mechanical blueprints.
Okay, so to build this framework, we have to start with a massive mystery sitting right in our own cosmic backyard. You probably already know the Kuiper Belt is chaotic.
Oh, absolutely. It's a mess out there.
But the data points to something massive pulling the strings. Astronomers Mike Brown and Konstantin Bedygin, they've been tracking these extreme trans-Neptunian objects, or
ETNOs.
Right, the ETNOs. Yeah, and these icy bodies are exhibiting completely erratic orbits, like they're being stretched and clustered by this massive gravitational shadow.
And standard astrophysics dictates that for a gravitational shadow of that magnitude to even exist, there has to be a massive object lurking in the dark out there.
Right.
So they've dubbed it Planet 9, and they calculate it weighs somewhere between, 5 to 10 times the mass of Earth.
Which is huge.
It is. But here's the thing. Despite pointing our most powerful telescopes at that exact region, looking for this giant icy planet, we have found absolutely nothing.
Nothing at all. Which brings us to this revolutionary theory by theoretical physicists Jakob Schultz and James Unwin. What if Planet 9 isn't a planet at all?
Right.
What if it's actually a primordial black hole just left over from the Big Bang?
And that introduces this fascinating philosophical and physical matrix, really. It's about looking at the solar system through the lens of opposites.
How so?
Well, think about the sun at the center. The sun is the white atom. It's the active source, emitting immense energy and light, right?
Yeah, totally.
So this primordial black hole acts as the black atom. It is the absolute absorber, just sitting in absolute dark at the very edge of the system.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because if we are dealing with a primordial black hole that contains, 5 Earth masses, physicists calculate it wouldn't actually be the size of a gas giant.
No, not at all.
It would have a diameter of about 5 centimeters, literally the size of a grapefruit.
Exactly. A very heavy grapefruit.
Right. And so my initial reaction here is just pure skepticism. If there is a black hole with a gravitational well that steep just sitting in our solar system, why isn't it shredding the outer planets?
That's a fair point.
How does it just sit there in equilibrium without pulling all those Kuiper Belt objects into a death spiral?
Well, it's a completely logical question, but the key is understanding orbital mechanics combined with the extreme density of a primordial black hole.
Okay.
You see, a black hole isn't defined by its physical footprint in space, it's defined by its mass. Gravity operates on distance.
Okay.
Just as Earth doesn't fall into the sun because of its lateral orbital velocity, these ETNOs don't fall into the black hole. They are caught in a gravitational resonance.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, so that grapefruit-sized black hole exerts the exact same gravitational force as a regular planet of 5 Earth masses would. It acts as a massive cosmic regulating node.
So it's not just a vacuum cleaner sucking everything up.
Exactly. It anchors the outer boundary of this solar system not by swallowing everything, but by warping the spacetime around it just enough to keep those outer icy bodies tethered in their eccentric orbits.
It's like the ultimate cosmic anchor.
Very much so.
But to really understand how this grapefruit-sized absolute absorber actually functions within this whole framework, we have to do something incredibly difficult.
Yeah, we really do.
We have to completely stop thinking in our standard 3D perspective.
Yeah.
We have to look at the universe as a 4D block universe.
This is the crucial pivot here, because in 3D space, the sun and this black hole are billions of miles apart. It's just a vast, empty distance.
All right.
But in a 4D block universe, which is a concept rooted deeply in Einstein's relativity, by the way, time is treated as a physical dimension.
Okay.
So past, present, and future exist simultaneously as a static block. And when you factor in time as a physical dimension, the geometry of the universe actually folds.
So for everyone listening, imagine a flat piece of paper. On the left edge, you draw a bright yellow dot, right?
Yeah.
That's the sun. And then on the far right edge, you draw a black dot. That's our grapefruit-sized black hole at the boundary. In 3D space, they are as far apart as physically possible.
Exactly.
But if you take that paper and you fold it into a cylinder, suddenly the left edge and the right edge are touching.
And in 4D geometry, this specific structure is called a topological torus. Distance essentially becomes an illusion.
Wow.
Geometrically, the boundary of the solar system and the center of the solar system are directly linked. And what's fascinating here is how this connection functions as an energy mechanism.
How does that work?
Well, this boundary wall, where the black hole resides, acts as a one-way quantum membrane. It's essentially an intake manifold.
Wait, but how does an intake manifold work in the vacuum of space? I mean, it's not just sitting there eating our solar system's light.
No. It's a highly efficient filtering system. If it only absorbed the sun's light, the energy dynamics would just stagnate.
That makes sense.
Instead, this boundary faces outward into the Milky Way. It absorbs external cosmic rays, high-energy plasma, and dark matter from the broader galaxy. It literally drinks in the raw, chaotic energy of the interstellar medium.
And because space is folded in that 4D topological torus, it pipes all that raw galactic energy directly into the sun's core.
Exactly. The sun isn't just this isolated fire burning through its own finite fuel. Within this framework, the sun operates as a white hole axle.
A white hole axle, I love that.
Right. It receives this massive influx of galactic energy from the black hole boundary, processes it, and then recycles it into the brilliant light and solar wind that bathes our planets.
So it's a continuous closed-loop recycling system fueled by the galaxy itself, like a true cosmic dynamo.
Precisely.
Now, if the universe has designed a system this perfect for managing and recycling energy, nature is going to repeat this blueprint elsewhere. I mean, the macro is always reflected in the micro.
Always.
And when you bring this massive astrophysical concept directly down into human biology, the mirror is just stunning.
It really is. Let's scale it all the way down to a single human cell. The boundary wall of our solar system, regulating what comes in from the Milky Way.
Yeah.
That acts exactly like a biological cell membrane. The membrane protects the cell, but selectively absorbs external nutrients from the bloodstream.
Okay, I follow.
It channels those raw materials directly to the mitochondria. So in this biological model, the mitochondria is the sun of your cell. It's converting those external nutrients into the usable energy that keeps the whole system alive.
That is wild. But scaling out to the human brain is where the theory gets even crazier.
Oh, definitely.
Think about the architecture of your brain. In the very center, you have the thalamus and the hypothalamus.
Wow.
These primary neural axes act like the sun, right? They're transmitting electrical light, sensory data, and knowledge throughout your entire nervous system.
And deep in the darkest edge of the brain, in a region where physical light literally never penetrates, you have the pineal gland and the brainstem.
Right.
This area perfectly mirrors that primordial black hole at the edge of the solar system. The pineal gland acts as a biological absolute absorber.
Here is where I really need to push back on the mechanics, though. I mean, here's where it gets really interesting.
Go for it.
How does a physical gland sitting in pitch blackness interact with something intangible? You're saying it absorbs internal awareness, but what is the actual mechanism there? How does consciousness become chemistry?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The mechanism is neurochemical transduction, and it's specifically tied to the absence of light.
Okay, absence of light.
Yeah. The pineal gland synthesizes melatonin and regulates serotonin, but it only does this effectively in absolute darkness.
Right, like when we sleep.
Exactly. It takes the dark matter of your consciousness, your circadian rhythms, your resting state, your sensory withdrawal, and it transduces that intangible state into physical neurochemistry.
Wow.
It regulates the entire brain system from the shadows, perfectly balancing the active sensory light generated by the thalamus.
So you are practically carrying billions of microscopic solar systems inside your own head.
You really are.
The fractal nature of reality means the mechanics keeping Planet 9 and the sun in balance are the exact same mechanics keeping your brain and your cells functioning right this very second.
It is a beautiful symmetry, isn't it? But, we know what the parts are. The sun, the planets, the black hole. Now we have to ask how the energy actually travels between them in this 4D model.
Yeah, how is this energy highway actually constructed? Because it's not like there are physical wires stringing Mars to the sun.
Right. To map the highway, we have to return to that 4D block universe concept. Because time is a physical dimension here, a planet orbiting the sun doesn't just draw a circle in space and move on.
Okay.
Its entire past, present, and future orbit exists all at once as a continuous tube or path.
Oh.
Physicists refer to these paths as world lines or sometimes light snakes.
Light snakes? Okay, think of a long exposure photograph of a moving carnival ride.
That's a great visual.
Right. When you look at the Ferris wheel or the tilt-a-whirl, in a regular photo, you just see the carts. But in a long exposure shot, the lights blur into these glowing, continuous spirals and loops.
Exactly.
So in 4D, the Earth isn't just a sphere. It's this spiraling, glowing tube of past, present, and future, coiled entirely around the sun.
And when you zoom out and look at the entire solar system's world lines woven together in that long exposure 4D space, the orbits actually braid together.
They brace?
Yeah, they braid into a gigantic cosmic double helix. It's a macro-level structure that looks exactly like a strand of DNA.
But DNA has two distinct strands that twist together.
Yeah.
How does that map to the energy exchange of the solar system?
Well, energy exchange inherently requires a two-way street, right?
Right.
The first strand of this cosmic DNA is the white strand. This is the outward flow. It consists of the bright, high-frequency energy, the photons, the heat, and the solar wind traveling from the sun outward to bathe the planets.
It's the delivery system of life and order. But if it's a double helix, there has to be a return trip, right? The dark strand.
Yeah, the dark strands.
Because as planets consume that solar energy, they produce entropy. They generate low-frequency infrared radiation and cosmic waste. So the dark strand is the inward path carrying this degraded energy from the planets back out to the primordial black hole at the edge of the system to be absorbed.
That's exactly how it functions.
But wait, if there is a massive two-way street of energy flowing through our solar system, why haven't astronomers seen this dark strand with our incredibly powerful telescopes?
That's a good question.
I mean, we can see the sunlight, obviously, but where is the second half of the DNA?
The answer lies entirely in the physics of observation. We don't see it because of what it carries and how we look.
What do you mean?
Well, the outward white strand carries high-frequency photons. It literally is light. The dark strand, on the other hand, carries low-frequency waste, entropy, and infrared radiation.
Right.
Because its ultimate destination is the black hole, this inward path acts as a shadow world line.
Ah, and our telescopes are built to look for emission. We look for brightness, for things bouncing photons into our lenses.
Exactly. We haven't seen the dark strand because we are using tools designed to find light to look for a structure made entirely of shadow.
That makes so much sense.
It doesn't emit, it absorbs. Its frequencies are so low they fall completely beneath our standard 3D visual perception and structural detection thresholds.
Wow.
It is invisible to our current instrumentation, yet it's structurally vital to keep the system from drowning in its own cosmic waste.
And this two-way street of information and waste management, it perfectly sets up the grand finale of this whole framework.
It really does.
Because if the solar system is operating as a giant 4D double helix, the parallel to biological DNA isn't just some loose metaphor. It is a one-to-one biological match.
Let's map out the structural alignment because it's fascinating. In human DNA, the two intertwined strands do very different jobs. The sense or coding strand is the active strand. It delivers rapid, vital genetic instructions from the nucleus of the cell out to the rest of the biological system.
Which perfectly mirrors the white strand of the solar system. The sun acts as the nucleus, blasting out the high-frequency codes and energy needed for the planets to exist.
Exactly. But human DNA also has an antisense or template strand.
Okay.
This strand doesn't actively code for proteins in the forward-facing way. It actually runs in the opposite direction, acting as a regulatory mechanism.
So it's checking the work.
Yes. It corrects errors and returns regulatory information back down the line to ensure the coding strand remains in balance.
That's the invisible shadow world line. The dark strand managing the entropy of the system.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, we find the most astonishing mechanical parallel of all. The waste management system.
Waste management.
Yeah. The primordial black hole at the edge of our solar system eats the cosmic waste and recycles it so the solar system doesn't just choke on its own entropy.
And your biology has the exact same cosmic vacuum cleaner. Inside your cells, you have microscopic structures called proteasomes and lysosomes.
Right. When the DNA's instructions result in faulty RNA or toxic misfolded proteins, basically biological garbage that would trigger cell death if left alone, these proteasomes act as microscopic black holes.
But how do they actually do that? I mean,
Yeah.
they don't just swallow the trash and make it disappear into nothing, do they?
No, no. They execute this really fascinating mechanical breakdown. Proteasomes capture these toxic proteins and physically unravel their 3D structure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they strip them of their form, breaking the complex molecules down into highly purified raw amino acids.
So they deconstruct them.
Exactly. Once the entropy is destroyed, they send those raw materials back into the cellular fluid to be reused by the nucleus for rebirth.
That is incredible.
They recycle the biological entropy through a process of structural annihilation, which is exactly how a black hole recycles cosmic entropy by breaking matter down to its most fundamental state.
So what does this all mean? When you pull all these threads together, you are left with a reality. It is genuinely mind-blowing.
Absolutely.
Human DNA isn't a biological fluke that randomly evolved in isolation. According to this framework, your DNA is operating on the exact same two-way information architecture as the macro universe.
Yeah.
The universe didn't just build you, it built you using the same architectural blueprints it used to build the solar system.
It completely collapses the artificial walls we build between biology and astrophysics.
It really does. Let's synthesize the journey we just took. We started at the absolute fringes of our solar system, finding a grapefruit-sized primordial black hole anchoring the Kuiper Belt.
Right.
Then we explored how the physics of a 4D block universe folds space into a topological torus, basically turning that black hole into a cosmic intake valve. It pumps galactic dark matter and energy into the sun to create a closed-loop recycling system. We visualize this energy flowing as a cosmic double helix with a visible light strand and an invisible shadow strand braided together. And finally, we brought those mechanics all the way down to the proteasomes, breaking down toxic proteins inside your own cells, proving the macro and the micro are perfectly mirrored.
And, the profound value of this knowledge is really how it shatters the illusion of isolation.
Oh, for sure.
We so often walk through life feeling small, just entirely disconnected from the grandeur of the universe. But critical thinking here reveals that you are intimately, physically entangled with the mechanics of the cosmos.
That's a beautiful way to look at it.
The rules governing the beating of your heart, the firing of your synapses, and the twisting of your DNA, they are the exact same rules governing the birth of stars and the gravitational pull of black holes. You aren't just residing in the universe, you literally are the universe, expressing its fundamental geometry on a microscopic scale.
I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over today. Building on this whole idea of the 4D static blueprint, we talked about how in a 4D block universe, past, present, and future are frozen as a single continuous structure. This framework suggests our physical DNA is just a frozen 4D map, and our consciousness is what actually travels along it, creating the illusion of time, the illusion of growth, and aging.
Wow, right.
So if our DNA is just a frozen map we are traveling through, and the entire solar system is structured exactly like that same DNA, is it possible that our entire solar system is actually just a single microscopic cell inside an unimaginably massive living cosmic organism?
That is something to think about.
Tonight, when you step outside, look up at the night sky, look past the seemingly random scatter of stars, and just wonder, what kind of body are we all actually living inside of?
It's a great question.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. It's been an absolute privilege exploring this with you. Keep wondering, keep questioning, and we'll see you next time.